pretty much Mereen Johnson. We have the C.A. Smith building and the building that came with it. And our community was started based on the lumber industry. And that lumber industry started in these two buildings, which promoted entrepreneurship. And two of those members left and started this building that has been in our community for 100 years. Now, I think that that's a perfect example of the type of entrepreneurship that our community needs. You know, they had a great idea, they built on it, got some backers from their community, and they built up a nice business that lasted for 100 years. Tearing down the building would be a travesty for our neighborhood. We need to keep these type of things. We don't have very much left, and I really think that we need to think about repurposing the building, not tearing the stuff down. I have a nice little display up there, and it has a property on there from the past that got torn down that was pretty much the founder of Camden. We don't want to let that happen with our building here that is pretty much the founding business of Camden that has, I would say, kind of shown us that even the little man can come up and start a business and be successful in this world. I just want to leave you with that.
Thank you for being brief. History can take a long time. Yes, miss.
Thanks for my name is Ann. I'm very much aware of the great work that the Salvation Army does. I grew up on the west side of St. Paul, across from your facility at 7th Street and Smith Avenue. Great appreciation for what you do. However, bad news, sorry. In our neighborhood, we support a lot of people who are transitioning. We have 2 City of Minneapolis public housing houses on my block. I support my neighbors as best I can when they're out of work, because transitioning jobs is very common in this area. It's not unusual for us to get notices of sex offenders moving into our neighborhood because the housing is affordable. And there's obviously, there are tons of good people in this neighborhood, and we do everything we can to support these people. A facility like this, if you were coming in and saying that you were going to be offering 30 to 50 living wage jobs, which I believe in the Twin Cities right now is an average of $12 an hour, those sidewalks would be red carpeted. We would want you in here, because what we need right now is living wage jobs for the people who live here. What you have to offer is a wonderful thing, but it's not what our community really, really needs.
Thank you.
And so while I really support your work, I can't support you here. And I do apologize for that.
Thank you. I just wanted to address, so that, again, the West 7th location that you're talking about, the St. Paul, very different from this one. That is open to public. We have social services there, so we're saying to people, come in. There's a hot meal program. There's an after-school program. This isn't that type of program. It's just one of the 28, and it is very different. It's the only one within, of all the 28 programs, it's just very different. So there's not people coming to get served here. No, and that's not a problem. But and he can talk to that, too, because I think you have some other really great points, and he'll talk about the
We need jobs for people who live right.
Exactly. He can talk about that as well, about jobs, because I think that is important. He talked about that a little bit, but there are some jobs even in the warehouse area of what we're talking about here. Outside of the store, that's not part of this. It's just we're looking at this neighborhood for a store as well with jobs, but there's jobs here too for the community as well. So I'll let him talk about that, but I just wanted to address about the Salvation Army as a discriminating. First of all, the Salvation Army's very mission at its core says we're going to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and meet human needs in His name without discrimination. We take it very, very seriously, without discrimination. And that is what we're about. So we hear that, from people saying, do you discriminate against us? We actually had someone say, well, you don't help people that aren't Christian. No, that's not true. We don't ask questions when people come to get help. We just say, what is your need? Do we have the ability to help? We don't always have the ability to help. We don't always have the funds. We don't always have the expertise. And as far as employment, we don't discriminate. people that come to us to work, we want to know what they can do for us if they can do the kind of job that we need. So I just wanted to address that as well. Pardon me?
Do you have other areas other than this one?
For this location, for this
Any other
building,
land you're proposing?
yeah, he can answer that.
We do not-
can also talk about the jobs.
We do not have any other sites that we're proposing for right now. And
Where are you talking about putting a store?
that would be a part in the long term. Their downtown site right now has a store, and if they relocate this, they would also
The
need
first
to have a
proposal
store
doesn't state
nearby.
a store.
Right, but they would need a store nearby, and that is what they would look to
Not
do.
on that.
So there's not a store on site?
There's not a store there.
There's not a store on site? That's the only thing that would be good about this.
That's not the only
He can
thing.
talk about the jobs.
Let us talk about the jobs here. As you mentioned, there would be a red carpet.
I'm Tom again, and you're right. This right here does not have a thrift store on site, okay? But you have to know, the site that we're relocating from has 2 thrift stores that are right there at the rehabilitation center. And we have to relocate those stores. They make up a huge part of our income. What we would like to do is come somewhere in the Lindale area or very close by and put in a thrift store there, or what we call a family store. Okay, that would be 30 jobs right there. The other part of this is within this building, we have about 25 to 30 positions that work in the building every day, plus truck drivers, living wage jobs, exactly what you talked about. These guys are out in the community driving our trucks. We have 20 of them out all the time. We're hiring right.
Aren't all those jobs just transferring from the old place?
We're hiring
jobs.
right.
There aren't new jobs.
We're hiring right now. If you need a job for a truck driver, come down to 900 North 4th Street because I need 4 of them right now.
But
I'm telling you.
But the other 16 are already taken.
Not necessarily, because we're growing. We just added a product development person.
We don't-
We're talking about right now.
That's
Yeah.
less than 100,000 square feet. You're currently at 250,000 square feet.
I can
St.
answer
Paul
that
at
question, too.
200,000 square feet. Where is this
I can
going to
answer
fit
that
in our
question too.
neighborhood?
One of the reasons why we're at 200,000 square feet right now is we used to process everything right at the building. We don't do that anymore. Okay? Donations come from the building and get shipped to the stores, and they're processed in the back room of the store. See, we found that by having employees process this stuff, we could get higher quality product on the floor. When the guys in the program were processing this stuff, everything went to the show floor of the thrift store, and a lot of it wasn't sellable. So we made a better business decision to do that. That's why we can have a smaller building.
So they just sort stuff there?
No,
Like
guys
laundry?
do all kinds of things. They answer the phones, they work at the front desk, they do office jobs, some of them are janitors, some of them we transport to the thrift stores so they can work in the thrift stores
What is
too.
the 60,000 square foot sorting facility for?
We
What
get-
sorting?
We
do
get
you do?
$4.6
questions
million
from
pounds.
everyone in the room.
Okay.
I understand that there's questions, and we have about 4 seconds almost.
Okay.
And there was
Sorry.
one gentleman that had his hand up for almost the entire time. Hold it, I would like to have you be the final question for tonight, but before you ask your question, just protocol or procedural things, there are many of you in the room. We do have pieces of paper in the back if you want to write your questions down so that we can make sure that you don't leave here tonight, and we will collect those. Make sure you sign up for your email. Make sure you sign up your address. We will stay in contact with you about what meetings are going to be had, definitely. So make sure that we can get a hold of you. All right? So, sir, why don't you go ahead and ask your question?
All right. My name is Jonathan. I live in North. Given the state of disrepair of your location in North Loop, how can we trust that you won't leave Lynn Bohanon in the same situation in the future?
This building that we're currently operating in was built in 1963. We occupied it in 63, 64. There is
Can you speak up, please?
there has been I don't know, in the last 6 months we've probably spent $500,000 or better doing what we can to satisfy the city as it would relate to those things that have been out of compliance and code. I would say that it's incumbent upon us to think about being good neighbors. That would be our first thought. Would be that this would be going forward how we would approach.
Would you say that you're being a good neighbor in North Loop right now?
I would, and we would have others that would speak
I
to that.
think you would be hard pressed to find people, actual citizens, that would agree with that statement.
We would have statements from other businesses that surround us that would support.
Other businesses that want to
People that
see you leave?
live right near there?
We have letters from of support from those who are directly adjacent to our building.